Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. At UFC Vegas 49, Arman Tsarukyan got a dominant win over Joel Alvarez. In this fight, he just dominated Joel Alvarez from start to finish. The fight opened up. Joel Alvarez threw a head kick. As he was throwing the head kick, Arman Tsarukyan threw a picture-perfect leg kick and swept Joel Alvarez's leg out from underneath of him. Arman was then able to get top position, control him on the ground, and just batter him towards the last minute of the first round, eventually splitting him open with a brutal elbow, and Joel Alvarez was just bleeding everywhere. I honestly thought they might stop it in between rounds because he was bleeding so badly. They were able to stop the bleeding a little bit in between rounds. He comes out in the second round. Tsarukyan takes him down almost immediately, has no takedown defense, and then controls him on the ground some more and eventually finishes him via ground and pound. Joel Alvarez had no answer on the ground. And I picked Joel Alvarez in this fight. I'm very high on Joel Alvarez. And Tsarukyan went out there and made Joel Alvarez look like he did not even belong in this fight and gets a TKO win. And after this fight, Arman Tsarukyan came into this fight ranked number 13 in the UFC official rankings. A lot of people are asking, what's next for Arman Tsarukyan? And that's what this video is going to be. I'm going to go from least likely to most likely as far as what the UFC is liable to make next for Tsarukyan. And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my personal preference on who I would like to see Tsarukyan fight next. So first off, Tsarukyan is on a 5-fight win streak. It's not a great 5-fight win streak, but again, a 5-fight win streak in the lightweight division is pretty good, especially in the UFC lightweight division. And now it's time to see him fight some of the elite within the lightweight division. So my first potential matchups is Arman Tsarukyan versus the winner of RDA versus Rafael Fiziev, which happens at UFC 272 next Saturday. And this is a fight that I would love to see. And I really think Tsarukyan looks so good in this fight over a legit Joel Alvarez. I was very high on Joel Alvarez. I picked him in this fight. I was dead wrong. A lot of people were picking Joel Alvarez in this fight. And I really think Tsarukyan deserves a big fight after this. You have Dos Anjos, who's ranked number 6. You have Fiziev, who's ranked number 11. And I would love to see, Tsarukyan take on the winner of that fight. The winner of that fight is not getting the next title shot. They're going to be in title contention. But, right now we have Charles Oliveira taking on Justin Gaethje at UFC 274. The winner of that fight is going to defend the belt against Islam Makhachev. So we already basically have lightweight title fights up until the end of 2022. So why not book the winner of Fiziev and RDA at UFC 272 against Tsarukyan? Tsarukyan is a very hot prospect. He hasn't really fought, the best of competition outside of Islam Makhachev, but that was before Islam Makhachev was really considered elite. And that was a very close fight, and that was Arman Tsarukyan's UFC debut. So, I would love to see him really test it against the elite of the elite. And Dos Anjos right now is on a 1-fight win streak, but most of his losses were when he was up at 170. If he's able to beat Rafael Fiziev, I think that's a great win, and then I would love to see him take on Arman Tsarukyan. And if Rafael Fiziev is able to defeat RDA, he's on a great win streak himself. He is on a 5-fight win streak, a 6-fight win streak if he defeats RDA. And tell me you wouldn't love that matchup. Tsarukyan versus Fiziev. Fiziev's striking looks so good. And Tsarukyan is just so well-rounded. He's a great grappler. He has great jiu-jitsu. He has great submissions. He has power in his hands. He's fast. He's young. He has not taken a lot of shots in his UFC career or his MMA career in general. I would absolutely love to see Tsarukyan versus RDA or Fiziev. The Fiziev matchup literally has me way more excited, though, in my personal opinion. But it has to be the winner of that fight. I don't think this is super likely. I don't think either one of those guys, especially with a win, is probably going to want to take a fight that far back in the rankings. But who knows? Arman Tsarukyan is currently 13. He might move way up in the rankings after this win against Joel Alvarez. I don't know. We'll have to see come up in this upcoming week. But he could move up, and he could, next thing you know, he could be ranked number 6, 7. And then basically they would probably have to take that fight. But I don't know if the UFC is willing to make that. So let's move on to my next pick for who I would like to see Tsarukyan fight next. And that is Gregory Gillespie. I would love to see that fight. Gregory Gillespie supposedly can't find a fight. He's currently ranked number 9 in the UFC lightweight rankings. I think it makes perfect sense. Gregory Gillespie is a hot UFC lightweight prospect as well. He's only on a 1-fight win streak against Carlos Diego Ferreira. He has the loss to Kevin Lee where he's brutally KO'd with a head kick. But other than that, he's undefeated in the UFC and undefeated in his MMA career outside of that Kevin Lee loss. So another great lightweight prospect, a great wrestler, great stamina. Doesn't have the best striking, but I would love to see Gregory Gillespie versus Arman Tsarukyan. I think that would be a super compelling matchup. And Gregory Gillespie's constantly complaining he can't find a fight. It seems like he only wants to fight Tony Ferguson, which is a tailor-made matchup for him. Fight Tsarukyan, then you can prove you belong to fight one of those top 5 guys. And a win for Tsarukyan over Gregory Gillespie, I think, is a great win to kind of get him into that top 10 if he's not going to be there already. I think it's a great win, and it shows that he can fight one of these elite level grapplers. Gregory Gillespie has great wrestling, great takedowns, great top control, and unlimited cardio. So that would be a great win for Arman Tsarukyan. And I usually don't like, and the UFC doesn't like to match up these like great up and coming prospects. But when you have a division as deep as lightweight, you have to. And I would love this matchup, and I think a lot of people would love this matchup. And it would propel one of these guys up closer to the top 5 of the rankings and make their claim to a potential #1 contender fight or a fight with one of the top 5 guys more legitimate. And I would love to see that matchup. Next up on my list, and I think is the most likely potential next matchup. I don't know if it's going to happen again. I'm just kind of giving my prediction here. But I would love to see Arman Tsarukyan versus Matias Gamrot. And again, this would be prospect versus prospect. But at this point, they're both fringe lightweight contenders at this point. They haven't fought the best competition. Matias Gamrot should be undefeated in his UFC career. He lost a split decision in his UFC debut, but he should have won that fight. I thought he clearly won that fight. Even his opponent thought he won that fight. Then after that, he went on a 3-fight winning streak, and his most recent win was against Carlos Diego Ferreira, which he won via TKO in the second round. Before that, he submitted Jeremy Stephens with absolute ease. And I love this fight. Matias Gamrot's currently ranked number 12. So they're kind of right around the same rankings. Again, we don't know where Tsarukyan's going to be in this upcoming week when they move the rankings around. But who would not love to see Arman Tsarukyan versus Matias Gamrot? Gamrot is super well-rounded as well. He has great wrestling, great jiu-jitsu, and we would really get a true gauge of each guy's skills if they did match them up with each other. And I think this is a fight. I don't know how the UFC says no to this fight. And I think Matias Gamrot would take this fight. I think Tsarukyan would probably take this fight. At least I hope he doesn't get, with a win over Joel Alvarez, I hope he doesn't become one of those guys. It's like, well, I'm not fighting anyone behind me because technically he may end up moving up in the rankings past Gamrot. But I would love this fight. And again, a hot prospect in the lightweight division, a borderline contender at this point versus another borderline contender. I would love this matchup. I think it would be super compelling. I have no idea what would happen. I have no idea who I would pick in this fight because Gamrot has looked really good in his UFC fights. And it's weird because they're kind of in a similar situation. They're on decent win streaks. They haven't fought the best competition, and they kind of need to prove themselves. And I get necessarily either one of them beating each other wouldn't be that staple win, but it would move them into the top 10. And if not, if let's say Tsarukyan's already in the top 10, let's say he ends up ranking number 9 or whatever, it would move them closer to a fight with a top 5 guy. And, who knows with Tony Ferguson, he's moving down the rankings. He hasn't fought, the people making the rankings, which I don't put a lot of legitimacy on, could end up moving him behind Gamrot and Tsarukyan. So we'll have to see what the rankings play out. But anybody that would not love Tsarukyan versus Matias Gamrot is crazy. And that leaves me to my personal preference, which I probably gave it away a little bit. I would love to see Tsarukyan versus Matias Gamrot. I just love the stylistic matchup. I would love to see how their grappling matches up against each other. I would love to see who had the better jiu-jitsu. I would love to see who had the better striking. It's just such a compelling matchup that answers so many questions about both guys. And it's two great prospects fighting for the right to kind of fight someone towards the elite of the elite in the lightweight division. You have so many great contenders in this division. You have to kind of weed it out a little bit. So book Arman Tsarukyan versus Matias Gamrot next. The UFC should absolutely do that. Let me know down in the comments who the UFC should book Arman Tsarukyan against next. Is it somebody on my list? What is your favorite opponent on my list? And if the matchup that you want for Tsarukyan next is not on the list, comment it down below and let me know who he should fight next. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.